Hello and welcome back to my Dark Souls Let's Play. As you might hear, my voice is really chilled today and I'm not really in a hurry anyway, because this is basically post-commentary. My fraps didn't record my voice, so don't worry, it's not going to be anything regular, it's just this one episode. I'm trying to keep it to the minimum. I don't really like post-commentary anyways, but we'll have to see what's going on. Now, as you might see, I'm equipping the gold pine resin. This is basically our very first boss fight, or the first real boss fight, so to speak. The guy is called the Taurus Demon. We'll be fighting him on this wall. Well, let's enter the fog wall. Now, this is one of those points where you can clearly see what difficulty in this game means. It's being observant of your surroundings. Now, if I would just run over the bridge or the wall, I would trigger the boss fight and basically fight from the start of his life bar, so to speak. But if I took a moment to just look around and actually hear those crossbowmen, as you might hear in the background, I might find this ladder to the right of the stairs, which you can see here. Now if I climb this ladder, not only will I be able to dispose of those two assholes over here, but I will also be able to do a kind of a drop attack on the Taurus Demon, which will appear here shortly. I think I decided to chuck one Estus before the fight begins, just to be sure that I have full life. Or not, who knows. Maybe I get down. And I found the button for sliding down the ladder. Just press B and hold it, without pressing any other buttons. There we go, the Estus. And I'm going to use the gold pine resin very soon. Just kind of going through my items 4 times. Completely pointless. It's actually pretty interesting to see myself play like this. I can give commentary on what I did wrong and what I did right, which is kind of interesting. But as I said, I'm not going to do a lot of post-commentary. Oh. As we pass this wall, at a certain point, the Taurus Demon will jump down and the fight will begin. I'll run immediately back, so he's not able to chase me fast enough. I climb the ladder, and with my weapon with the lightning properties, I'm going to drop down on him. Because as you can see, he's very weak for lightning attacks, or against lightning attacks. And the rest of the fight is seriously a no-brainer. Just look at how much damage my weapon's dealing. I get hit once here, and there's a little bit of stamina lost from this impact. And 1 or 2 more hits should be enough. There we go. Here we go. Perfect. That's a pretty easy fight. You can, if you want to, as you can see to the left, there is a little bit of the wall missing. You can kind of glitch him down, make him do a jump attack. And he will actually slip and fall off the wall. It's not easy to do really, but as I found this is the easiest way to kill him. I know it's kind of a cheesy way, but as you can see down there, the bridge over there is one of the next places we'll go to. The area over there is called the Undead Parish. Now there's one more item hidden over here behind the crates. Not too difficult to find, just roll into the crates. Okay, here's another example of the kind of difficulty Dark Souls uses in its games. As you can see, the bridge is kind of charred, it's burnt all over, and there's a couple of guys standing in behind, and there is a couple of corpses over there with loot on them. Now, this might be a bad sign when the bridge is charred. It's generally a bad sign. You might not want to go over that bridge, especially we saw that dragon before, and we might actually think, hey, moment. I might actually trigger that dragon over here and will burn me to death. And this is what will happen, as I will demonstrate in a second. What I usually do is just, I kind of take like 2 steps onto the bridge and run directly back. As you can see, the dragon's coming here. There we go. He quickly disposed of all the enemies on the bridge. But he will do the same with us if I run there. We will go there later on, don't worry. First of all, down here is one of the very first NPCs in the game. One of the very important NPCs, because he's kind of a bro. He's called the Slayer of Astora. And he has a couple of things to say which are kind of interesting, giving us one of the very important items.
Hello. You don't look hollow, far from it. I am Solaire of Astora, an adherent of the Lord of Sunlight. Now that I am undead, I have come to this great land, the birthplace of Lord Wind, to seek my very own son. Do you find that strange? Well, you should. No need to hide your reaction. I get that from all the time.
I bet. Well, he's a jolly fellow, isn't he? I was kind of messing around here.
Oh, aha. So are you scared? I have a proposition if you have a moment. The way I see it, our fates appear to be intertwined. In a land brimming with hollows, could that really be mere chance? So what do you say? Why not help one another on this lonely journey? This pleases me greatly. Well then, pick this.
There we go. White Sand Soapstone. This is basically used to leave a sign in our world, which will appear in other players' worlds, and they will be able to summon you in order to fight some boss or some difficult area. Or I guess push off invaders. Could be used for basically anything.
We are amidst strange beings in a strange land. The flow of time itself is convoluted, with heroes centuries old fading in and out. The very fabric wavers, and relations shift and obscure. There's no telling how much longer your world and mine will remain in contact. But use this to summon one another as spirits, cross the gaps between the worlds, and engage in jolly cooperation. Of course, we are not the only ones engaged in this, but I am a warrior of the sun. Spot my summon signature easily by its brilliant aura. If you miss it, you must be blind.
Ah, Solaire, you joker. Now what he said a second ago with the convolution of time and the phasing in and out and wavering fabric and all that shit, it's basically explanation of how this multiplayer is able to work.
Oh, hello there. I will stay behind to gaze at the sun. The sun is a wondrous body, like a magnificent father. If only I could be so grossly incandescent.
Now this guy really loves the sun. I said I wouldn't really explain too much of the lore because I'm honestly not really good at it, but I want just to mention that this guy is probably like Gwyn, the son of Sunlight, the Lord of Sunlight, the guy that we saw in the very beginning, in the very first cutscene. He's basically the god of the sun, and he had 3 children, one of which was a god of war, and supposedly this guy is his son. Now, the god of war did something that made his father really upset with him, I guess, and he kind of messed up all of his statues and kind of tried to erase every trace in history that his son, the god of war, existed. But seemingly this guy might be the god of war in human form. It is hinted there kind of a lot of times, especially he addresses his son as a magnificent father, which might be seen as one of the very first indications. It's not entirely true. You'll see that a lot of the lore is kind of this build it yourself kind of thing. You never know really. The lore isn't really straightforward. The most of it you'll have to try to puzzle it together, and it's nowhere near 100% precise. Okay, so let's try to get over this bridge before the dragon burns us, shall we? Now when you just go down and sprint as fast as you can towards this staircase over here, you should be fine. He won't try to brave fire under the bridge as long as you are fast enough. If you stay there for too long, he might do that. And I think I am going to actually die here in a second. No, it doesn't seem like it. I'm trying out when this breath actually starts. If there's kind of a trigger for him to do that, but apparently not. Nah, okay. I'm going to pick up the item. That was kind of risky of me, really, but it did work out really well. Dragon didn't do anything. Now he will do something in a second. Just before I try this, I will go down the staircase, because there's actually 2 ways to reach the other side. You can go underneath the dragon, or underneath the bridge. Now before I do either of those ways, you might want to go down the staircase over here and activate the shortcut. Just kicking down this ladder, and you'll see that this bonfire is a place that we already know. I think I decided to go down and rest at the bonfire. Yeah. Okay, you might remember this place. And this is something that is really interesting and intriguing about this game. It's a very, very well made up, or well crafted, well designed and level design. It's something you won't see as much in newer games. They tend to be kind of really straightforward in the corridor levels, and even if it's like an open world, there's not really that much love or detail in those worlds. I'm just checking out whether or not to use another weapon. As you can see, I'm trying different builds. I was asking last episode whether or not somebody could provide me with some idea of a new build, and as expected, it wasn't too many people trying to give me any kind of advice. So I'm just thinking of going, I think, strength and endurance. Strength, endurance, and vitality, which is pretty much straightforward. I mean, strength is used to increase your damage and use better strength weapons, whereas endurance and vitality are used to increase your stamina and health, both which are very incredibly important. Just checking through my weapons if there's something else I want to use. Okay, that Zweihander is 24 strength. That is way over my limit right now. It's 12 strength points more than I have. Now I should have checked and actually searched for a better weapon, because as soon as we get into the Undead Parish, you will realize that the weapon I'm using at the moment is complete crap. Especially if you don't level any of the stats up to this point. So in a second now you will actually witness my untimely demise. I'm just trying to get it back up. And I think I chose, I chose going over the bridge. You saw the doorway to the left. That was the place where you could have used to go underneath the bridge. Okay. So the dragon will breathe fire onto the bridge. Damage us a little bit. And this is one of the safe spots. If you stand right behind this wall, the fire won't reach you. Now the trick to getting underneath the dragon is to stand in this very spot, kind of luring the dragon towards you, so he knows that you are there, but you're not standing directly in front of him, not in a line of fire. And the dragon will fly down, and this is your chance to get past him, as not demonstrated in this video. Because as you can see, once he is on the bridge, it doesn't matter where you stand. You're pretty much fucked. I guess the only way to save yourself is run down the stairs. I didn't do this in this moment where I wasn't really thinking. I just said it has been time since I played this game. I'm not the worst player, but I guess I'm not the best player, but I was pretty okay-ish, kind of. I sure as hell wasn't dying as often as I'm doing here. But I guess it kind of increases the hilarity. Now I'm trying to bait the dragon into spitting fire. Now this was actually very close. If I did die a second time here, I would probably lose all of my humanity and all of my souls, and I didn't want to do that because it was a ton of souls. So it was a little bit daring of me to go across the bridge instead of going underneath it. But I guess that's kind of how I am. So I'm trying to bait the dragon a second time here, but instead of baiting him, I just made him spit fire a second time. Now there's more to this dragon than you might think. As you can see, there is his tail is kind of hanging down the side of the building on the right side there. And if you're standing underneath the bridge, you can actually shoot his tail with a bow or a crossbow or anything of that sort. And if you shoot his tail often enough, he will actually drop a drag sword that will be immediately put into your inventory. And that's a pretty powerful weapon for the beginners. It's kind of called the noob weapon, I guess. Now, as you can see, I actually barely made it. And you can see the dragon kind of stomping around on the bridge in the background. And eventually flying off. Will he? Yes, he will. Don't be fooled by that. Once you step one more step onto the bridge, you actually fly back and roast your ass. So I might not want to do this. Now there's a couple of hollows here who won't do anything, kind of like in Anolondo. Oh, it's New Londo, sorry. Kind of spotted a new area. And this place here is a destroyed altar, and as I previously mentioned, the Solaire of Astora, who is supposedly the god of war, got all of his illustrations, all of his statues and everything messed up and destroyed. And this is actually an altar that will allow you to join his covenant, the covenant of the Warriors of the Sun. Now, in order to make this altar even interactable for us, is obtaining a 25 faith, I think it was, which is lowered by 5 every time you help another player defeat a boss. So by adding other players, you can actually lower that requirement. Now, as you might think, I'm not going to bother with all those souls over there. I'm just going to light the bonfire, hopefully, and save the checkpoint here. But I won't bother with all of this loot on the bridge because it's suicide, really. I don't want to run out there and get my ass roasted. Okay, so let's go on. Let's deal with this hollow first. I don't even know how I got hit there. It was really stupid of me. And this is the point where I realized that my weapon isn't doing jack shit. It's really, really weak. Now, here to the right there's a door, and this ladder leads up to a place where we would have ended up if we took the route underneath the bridge. And over here is a staircase that leads to us on the top of this tower, and I think there was a black or a silver knight up there. And there's a message here saying tough enemy ahead, which is pretty much right. I don't even know what that means, trap plunging attack. So don't mess up with this, don't mess with the knight on top of the tower. I'm trying to bait a couple of those enemies out there. As you can see in the middle there's a boar with kind of like an armor. And this guy's pretty tough. You don't want to fight him with all those enemies around here. So I'm trying to just bait like the minimum amount of those guys out there. Make sure I kill all of them before I have to deal with the boar. So there's the boar, there's 2 hollows on the ground and 2 on the bridge. And 1 to the right over here. This is a pretty tough area. You wouldn't want to just run in here and try fighting everything. That would probably result in your death. I'm kind of using a couple of kicks here to make sure to break his guard. Okay, let's run out the stairs. There we go, 3 guys. We have 1 spear guy and the 2 very, very annoying crossbowmen. We'll make sure that we take this guy out before we deal with them. As you can see, you can use the kick to break guard of enemies. The only problem with it is that not every weapon allows this move. It depends on the weapon type and on the move sets the weapon type allows you to use. Oh, there's a lot of lagging here. The game has to load a lot. I actually found out what causes the lagging. It is the game loading new areas, especially if you use other texture packs than the one that are intended. And I did mod a lot of graphic. I did use a lot of graphic mods, and I guess that's causing the occasional lag. But it makes the game look really, really good. So I don't really want to disable them. Sorry, guys. It's just the way it's gonna be. It isn't too bad in my opinion. It only happens occasionally. Now, it's a little bit a pity that this guy ended up down there, the crossbowman. We'll have to deal with him in one way or the other. Now, the way I normally deal with this boar is coming up here on this ledge and just dropping down towards the staircase that you can see below us, where the message is. And I try to lure the boar inside the staircase, kind of like down the stairs, and he will be blocked there, and I will just throw bombs at him until he dies. Now, I did just realize that this was very, very close. Oh, don't bother with this hollow over there, he's kind of luring us into a trap. We'll have to go there anyways. I'm picking up the black firebomb and the normal firebomb. Just to try to lure down the... Yeah, of course, heal up first. We try to lure the boar down the stairs. And as you might imagine, it won't go any further than the doorway. It gets stuck there, as you can see. And we'll use this moment to throw firebombs and hopefully hit him. Yeah, hopefully hit him. It works apparently. I wasn't too sure which one of those two firebombs to use. I think the black ones are actually better. This thing has a lot of life and the firebombs don't do that much damage to him. But it's the only real way because he's really tough if you want to use any kind of physical weapon. I guess his only weakness is using fire. I'm not sure if that's really right, but I guess it's better than just kind of stabbing him to death. I ran out of bombs, so I had to use the other ones, and yeah, those are indeed kind of weaker. It's okay, but we'll have him dead shortly. Here we go. Now this guy has a chance to drop a helmet that looks like a bar. Occasionally. Not this time around. We have to fight guys that look like him a couple of times throughout this game. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think he respawn. There's a couple of weapons who don't respawn. Of enemies, I mean. Now, this gate here, it is actually open the moment we come in here. And if we do this like little rush and jump off the ledge, we can barely make a roll. We can barely do a roll beneath it and make it on the other side. We didn't this time around, so... Now this guy lured us into an ambush. Just going to dispose of all of the hollows. There's really not much to it, just make sure you fight one-on-one. It's easy to kill all of them. Nice to get occasionally hit by them. Oh, that was pretty cool. A pretty sweet double stab there. There's one more guy down here. And a little bit of loot in the corner. I think this was just... Oh, it's Mr. Mystery Key. I was trying to figure out what this key was for. I guess we'll see later on. I don't really remember. I'm picking up everything anyways, so... It's not like I miss any keys or anything. Well, almost anything. I mean, the bridge is basically our danger zone, we don't want to go there. Now, I just wanted to climb up the ladder. And at this very moment here, I just did realize that there is one more item on this catwalk. Where we just really carefully walk towards that. It's possible to walk here, just have to be really careful. It isn't really worth it, it's just a soul, but I guess you want to pick up everything. Okay, now, let's go up. I don't think there's anything up here. Although some people hint to fog walls up here. Or illusory walls, that is. And here's the second fog wall. Now don't worry, there's no boss behind this. It's just, I guess, a higher platform that we were before. It's kind of the same area. Just climbed up a little bit. Now, additionally to auto assistant, this game has kind of a stealth... Well, you can't really call this a stealth system. It's more of, if you walk really slow, enemies won't hear you, and if they can't see you, then they won't aggro. So like this guy over there, if I would just run around here and smack the walls, you can actually attack walls to lure enemies towards you. I have to be real careful here. Now I don't think I'll fight this guy. Because I figured out I wanted to have a stronger weapon before I deal with those enemies. Now the knights with the cape, or the knight with the cape you saw a second ago, they are called Boulder Knights, and they have a very annoying piercing attack that they do. Every time they get in their piercing stance, once you attack them, they immediately parry you and do a ton of damage. Now those guys. Was a very skillful dodge here. And I'm just making a run for the second bonfire in this place. I just wanted to rest there and improve my attribute, kind of equip another weapon before I deal with all of this shit here. And we will talk about all its enemies, and we will talk about this place. I'm just going to quickly run over here. This area is called the New Church, or the Old Church. The New Church is in another parish. And we are entering the Old Church right now. Oh, there's a ton of lagging here. That's because there's a whole new area behind this. Now this guy's still chasing me. I'm kind of making a run for the bonfire area. Hard pounding action. Especially because it takes a time before the bonfire is lit. And we go. It was pretty close now, nonetheless. Now, there is another place over there called Sans Fortress, but that's something that we'll deal with later. As of now, I was kind of thinking maybe to upgrade all the weapons and level up. But I thought maybe we might want to talk to the guide who's downstairs, making all that noise, making all that ruckus. It's a blacksmith. Hello, Andre. So this guy is, as you might think, a blacksmith, and he gives us a new gesture, which is the hurrah gesture, because he's a fun guy, I guess. And he will allow us to reinforce weapons, reinforce armor, and repair weapons and armor, because weapons and armor have a durability in this game, and you don't want to have them break. Now he has a couple of things. I think I bought the Bastard Sword because it's a really good weapon, and we're kind of in need of one of those. And 3,000 soul isn't really that much. We had 10,000. Anyways, because of fighting that boss. You can see here weapon smith box, armor smith box, and repair box. We can actually improve our weapons and armor at the bonfire as well, if we have those smith boxes, or repair our weapons and armor if we have the repair box, obviously. But as for now, I'm just going to do this by talking to Andre. It's 2,000 souls, it's not really that much. You might want to consider doing this. Every time you reinforce a weapon or armor up to +5, you're using up Titanite shards. There are actually different kinds of materials that upgrade different kind of weapons and armor. And going even higher than +5, like up to +10, requires large Titanite shards. You can only find, you can't buy them. At least not here. But let's talk to Andre again. He's a really cool guy. Now he was originally intended to be the god of war that I was talking about. In a very pre-alpha phase of the game. He was potentially a character that showed you a secret passage somewhere behind him that led to some kind of secret place, but that's all speculation, I guess. It's just an interesting tidbit. Smithing down his sword. Oh, and you hear the bell ringing. And we see a phantom of another player. Now, this is a lot to talk about. Now, this phantom actually symbolizes a player that is standing in this very same spot as you are in your world at the very same moment. Which is kind of a cool feature, I guess. And the bell ringing is something that we have to do. We have to ring one of the bells of the awakening. Or both bells, but one of the bells is over here. And whenever another player rings a bell in his world, you will actually hear that in your world, which is There's a lot of like small online features like that, which don't really do anything, but they're kind of interesting regarding lore, I guess. Or just interesting altogether. Now, as he said, modifying and ascending weapons. Modifying weapons is basically bringing it up to like +2, +3, +4, +5, and so on. If you bring the weapon up to a certain rank, you are able to ascend the weapon further. Yes, and you can increase weapons properties as well as armor's properties.
Whether you forge weapons or armor first, well, that's up to you. But nobody wants to see you go hollow. So whatever you do, you'd better do it well.
Well, isn't he a nice guy? So ascending weapon gives the weapon different properties, like induces it with lightning, or with a bleeding effect, or poison, anything like that.
Forging armor is even a weapon, so I'll be seeing.
Yeah, he doesn't have anything new to say. So just going to go back up to the bonfire. The episode is nearing its nigh end. We'll talk about... Now the Asus here was kind of a mistake, but it doesn't matter anyways, because we'll rest at the bonfire very shortly. I actually decided to go strength build in here. I was just about pondering whether to use the bastard sword. As you can see, we need 16 strength, which isn't really that much. We just increase our strength by 4. And I'm going to do this in a second. As you can see, every point of strength we go there, or we pump up, increases our level by 1. Yeah, and this is the bastard sword. Finally. A great weapon indeed. It has a really cool moveset, and it's a weapon that you can use in one hand or in two hands, depending on whether or not you want to have a little bit of faster swings and no defense, or slower swings and full defense with the shield. And the weapon is very deadly. It does a ton of damage if used properly. Really cool moveset, honestly. So that's it. I've decided for a strength build. And we'll see for the next 2 areas. I guess we'll go into the parish, probably fight the second boss in the next episode, and maybe ring the bells. Or one of the bells. Oh, definitely. And we see another dude chilling at the bonfire. So, this is the end of the episode, and I'll be seeing you in the next episode. Bye.